When you submit a pitch deck or a one-pager to an investor or angel group, doesn't it feel kind of impersonal? I mean, how can they tell you're uniquely qualified to successfully build your business from words and images on a PowerPoint presentation? Well, our guest has solved that problem by helping founders create a pitch video to humanize the capital raise process. That's right. It's Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life live show. Let's glow. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life live show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, startup champion to first-time founders. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now show newly minted business owners how to sleep through the night by giving them peace of mind. Because so many times, a new first-time founder is sleeping like a baby. They're waking up every 2 hours crying. We can't be having that, right? I call it Andelicious advice, which is core startup business strategies delivered with high enthusiasm, inspiration, and joy here on the Startup Life live show, my podcast, and all over social media. Thank you for carving out time to up your founder game by hearing someone else's startup stories and founder journey, as well as cheering on a fellow founder. So great that you're here. And for those of you who are watching now or via replay, thank you for supporting the show by clicking that like button on wherever you're watching, because we are live right now on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and Periscope and Twitch. So that like is so helpful. And hey, if you're on YouTube watching this, it would be wonderful for a subscribe and click that bell icon. It really helps the show. Thank you so much. I am very excited to introduce our guest to you, Allison Byers. Now, I know, and I'm really lucky to know Allison. She is local, and I've had her on the monthly pitch event that I co-host with Andy Jack called Founders Live Boston. I know her through an incredible organization here called the Capital Network. She's part of their female fellows. And I just can't wait for you to meet her. But let me give you a little bit of her background, okay, before we bring her into the show. So Allison has a MBA and 15 years experience building and leading startups. And she's previously raised nearly 10 million. And she's got this deep experience utilizing data to understand human behavior, strategic planning, fundraising, and product management, which is why she is so wonderfully, uniquely qualified to build a new business called Scroobious. And this is a pitch video platform for under-networked founders to help them be discovered by the right investors with the right message in the right way. And as I said earlier, why, send off a piece of paper and keep your fingers crossed when you can do a video pitch? It's so exciting. I can't wait for Allison to share all her stories and advice with you today. Welcome to the show, Allison. Yay! I'm so happy you're here, and I'm so lucky that you live right down the road. We both live in the greater Boston area, and we're both involved with the greater Boston startup community. So it's such a treat to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on the show.
And
much in the past. I love it.
I know. And also I want everybody to know that you've really got to hop on Twitter, see the handle there, AP Byers, right there on the overlay. Follow Allison. That's an ALLISON. Everywhere she glows, she's always sharing great insights and advice for founders, because this is how she is moving forward with her business, is supporting founders with their capital raise, especially under-networked founders. So I just want to say to those tuning in live, we're grateful for your comments. Remember, be sure to have an opportunity to amplify your brand. Pop your business name, one-liner, because sometimes we don't know what that business does without the one-liner, and your website URL, and we'll bring it right up here onto the screen and definitely do a yay for you. So, Allison, you 15 plus years of working and really developing incredible core skills. What was that tipping point that you said, you know what, I'm going to go hang up my own shingle. I am going to help people in this specific way. What called you to do that?
Yeah, so maybe I'll start with kind of what the spark for Scroobious was, what that experience was that led me here. Because you're right, I've been kind of my whole career always in startups. I love startups. Even after I got my MBA, jumped right back into a startup, which is where I'd come from. And prior to founding Scroobious, which I did just last year, we're a little over a year old now, I co-ran a startup medical device company. And when I was there, I, on the team, was the one primarily responsible for fundraising. And as you said, we did raise almost 10 million, but it was a rough experience, which any founder knows.
Oh my gosh. Time consuming, suck the spit out of you. Like what, what made it specifically hard for that particular business?
Yeah, well, so there's a lot of things that are very difficult about raising for a med device company because it's very capital intensive, particularly at the beginning. There's a lot of risk, regulatory risk. You have to run human clinical trials. It's a pretty specific area. But what really stood out for me was this very first step in fundraising, which is sending your pitch deck, which is a PDF or printout of a static document. And you can't put anything about yourself in there, the founder's characteristics. And there's actually research showing that the founder themselves, their personal characteristics are rated as just as important as the actual business or technology itself at the early stage, which makes sense, right? Investors are giving you their money. Mm-hmm. You are the steward of their capital. And so you are just as important as what they know will end up pivoting in the business. And you can't get any of that into a static document, which is what's used to determine, is this person worth a meeting? That's how you get your first meeting.
So as you went through this process, you said I'm thinking your beautiful brain was like, I have got to solve this problem. This is not working. Is that, I don't mean to jump the gun, but is that how it happened?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was, over time. But for me, where I got stuck was whenever I get a first meeting, it goes somewhere, right? Whether it leads to a check or not, you're building your social capital. And when you get that meeting is when you get to show your personality and your passion, and you put all the narrative around what you're doing. And it's so easy to say no to a deck. And if you don't get that first meeting based on just your deck, you're blocked from the rest of the process. And I know it from the female perspective, but anyone who is underrepresented, and in fundraising, that's really anyone who's not a white male, because they are the overwhelming majority of check writers, you get blocked. It's just a complete blocker, but it's also an inefficiency, because even on the investor side, that's not good decision criteria for whether you should spend 45 minutes with a founder.
That's right.
Yeah, humans are visual learners. We're visual creatures. We process that information faster. We retain it. So it serves both sides. And for me, looking at it, I just couldn't believe this is how fundraising is done, that we're using this document.
I know. And it's so beautiful because you brought fresh eyes to the experience, and you were also bringing your background of really understanding human behavior and the data behind it, and saying, no, this is not going to work. And especially if you know your founder, I don't know if you were a co-founder or you were just part of the team, but if you've got a founder who's dynamic, who really relates well, that everybody can get behind because they know how to share their vision in a wonderful way, or conversely, they've learned how to share the vision if they're more of an introvert. But what triggered this? So did you have time off between your last startup and then the spark happened?
Well, so yeah, you're exactly right. I got really hung up on this idea because, as you said, my background is more in data analysis and tech, and I really have a strength in using data to understand human behavior and influence human behavior. And then my second kind of core strength that's carried through different industries is the ability to take complicated information and make it really simple and compelling when you present it.
Okay, excuse me. That's a lovely quality to have. Okay. Taking complicated information and making it easy breezy for people to understand. Thank you for that. Go ahead. I just had to showcase you for that for a second.
Well, that's kind of what the job that what you have to do when you're pitching, right? Yes. This is what I tell founders all the time. Investors are generalists and they are not domain experts. So if you throw a bunch of technical terms or acronyms or, language that you think sounds smart or that you think everyone will understand, chances are they won't understand. And you actually sound smarter when you break it down into the simplest of terms. And
right.
That's the core of how to communicate your pitch in a way that lands with investors.
We have a great graphic, everybody. We're going to be going through a little bit later in the show.
But yeah, so Andy, so anyway, I took, those are my two kind of professional strengths, and Scroobious brings them together. And when my last company was ultimately acquired in an asset sale, and I researched this idea I did a lot of research for a long time. And I just thought, you know what, if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to go out there on my own, and I think I have a really good, innovative idea that can help people, now's the time.
Yep. Perfect timing. And especially since you were really passionate, you kept feeling it and feeling compelled, because you had to do a lot of the things that every founder has to do. First of all, I have to know, curious minds have to know, Scroobious, how'd you come up with that name?
Yeah, I know everyone asks, and I know it can be a little tricky to say, but the story behind it is good, I promise. So when you're starting a company today, one of the first things you have to do is find a domain, right? You have to say, is this available? And I went through every combination of like capital and network and, pitching and whatever, and nothing was available. So then I thought back, and there's this poet, Edward Lear, where I really like his poetry, and he has a poem called The Scroobious Pitch. And it's all about this creature that enters the animal kingdom, and it's a little bit of every animal. And the animals come up in their groupings, in their classifications, and they try to classify it. And they say, what are you? Which of us are you? What bucket do you fall in? And at the end of the poem, they celebrate it. And they say, it's the Scroobious Pitch, and it's a happy occasion because it doesn't fit. And it just really resonated for all of us founders who don't fit. It shouldn't be negative. We should be celebrated for it.
That's right. That's okay, everybody. Do we just love that name? Yes, yes, yes. And then you become more passionate too, by the way, about the name Scroobious, and you feel more part of that community, feel more of a belonging based on that name. I love that, Allison. Also, as far as creating we all know the startup world is very crowded. Every time you turn around, there's somebody, like me out there and folks out there in this world, whether you're in VC or angels or on the other side trying to, get money. How did the data show that this would be a really good opportunity? And folks, you know how I'm all about proving your value proposition. It is one of the most important things that you can do as a founder, is to create either a quick MVP, do some studies out there, make sure that the market wants what you're selling, because guess what? 42% of startups fail because the market didn't want it. So share, how did you know that this was going to be a sweet spot for you, and that there are people who wanted what you were selling?
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's different phases of proving out that value prop, right? And there's things that you can do in the very beginning to help you get there and vet your idea that are really simple. They don't cost anything. So I started with that, right? I posted on women's networks that I'm part of and different places where I thought people would be amenable to informational interviews, and just started with both secondary research, right? Seeing what's out there, and that all was encouraging to me. And then going out and talking to people. I talked to founders. I talked to early stage investors, a whole lot of them, and got.
What kind of questions did you ask?
So founders, I asked, do you feel comfortable with your pitch? Where are areas that you would want help? Would you be interested in a video? Would you send a video? What are your frustrations right now with fundraising? And really get that from people. They're more than happy to share with you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Again, a learning moment, everyone. Hear those questions. Those are not just open yes or no type of questions. You go in, you get feedback from the founder, which then you can use as language in your value prop, in what it is that you're bringing to prove. So thank you, Allison.
Yeah, and run quick surveys. Just put a Google form together, right? I did that too. Collect some data. It's a great way to start, and I did the same on the investor side. And then I know we're going to talk about my framework later, but I did that too. I showed it to a ton of investors and said, is this what you would want to see in a deck? Is this the right information? And really vet it out. Because if you do everything in a bubble and it's just you or just your team, it's not the voice of the customer. And so, the customer is your business model. So if it's not their voice, you're not building it the right way.
And this is so important that you gathered this great information and found it out, because then you had to implement it in, and we're going to talk about your framework and, proving that. So I just want to congratulate you on doing everything up front to prove that value prop, because folks, this is how you get to understand who your customers are, so that when you create your product, and Allison will share how that next step happened, that you are reaching folks in a way that they can hear you and see you. And especially for founders, you go online, you go to YouTube, you're going to see Airbnb's pitch deck. I mean, how many thousands of pitches did they have until they got to that point? I mean, it made sense for that audience based on where they were in their growth. But you can't do that pitch deck to an investor. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But first, I want to say hi to folks who are tuning in and sharing their deliciousness today. First of all, hey, this is what we're talking about right here, Gerald. Flowell, giving incontinent women their lives back. Everybody, visit Flowell right now. That is so important, whether it's post-pregnancy or as you are maturing. That's a beautiful thing, Gerald, to be bringing to the world. And folks, that's how we do it, right? We share your business, your one-liner, and your URL. You don't know who's watching right now, who's going to go, I'm going to go to see flowellinc.com and check it out. And right, Mia, don't you love the name Scroobious Pitch? Didn't know about the poet. Had no idea this was going down. Love it. And hey, Renee, how are you? Exactly. It's so much fun to hear founders' stories, right? How did that happen? Oh, okay. And see the steps, because it becomes very relatable and we don't feel so isolated. And it's the one and only Rebecca Moore. Woo! Great to see you, Rebecca. Thank you. And yes, we have to connect a little deeper, because Allison says you're absolutely amazing.
I can't believe you guys don't know each other. We'll follow up after.
And then, Gerald goes even deeper here, okay, and goes even deeper. So I'll just keep that up there for a minute. He's sharing some of his pitch with us. That's fabulous. And those of you who are watching, I know you're going to go give him a high five and congratulate him for launching that business. Okay, so there you are. You're pulling everything together. You're interviewing the investors. You're interviewing founders. You're pulling together your framework. Are you working while you're doing this? Are you pulling money off of 401k? Are you tapping into the family's piggy banks? How are you doing this, Allison? Because our businesses need oxygen. And there's creative ways to do it. And sometimes you side hustlers, I love you something fierce, because you're building up the piggy bank while you're, launching your business, improving your value prop. How did you do this, Allison?
Yeah. So, I'm pretty fortunate in that I was able to bootstrap the beginning of the company. So I got all the way through creating some prototypes. And when I say prototype, I mean it. And you can do things very capital efficient. So my first product for founders was a Google Doc that just walked through my whole framework, had links out to things. I did everything, not even no code, just like not code. Just as basic as it could be.
Anti-code.
Yeah, I got all the way to the videos, showed the videos to investors, got their feedback. All of that, really doesn't cost much. The cost was in, incorporating your company and kind of the the stuff that founders
Right.
don't talk about enough, but takes some time and money. And I got all the way through that and had really successful tests, had founders get into accelerators, get meetings, all off of this Google Doc, right? And then I raised some friends and family so that I could, bring in a little help, get things in a, more into an actual no code place instead of a not code place. And now we went on to our next stage. And we just launched an MVP version. So I was able to bring on a CTO with that friends and family money. And he like super fast, blazingly fast.
Is he watching?
No, he's actually, he can't watch today, but he's fantastic. And if you go to our website, you'll see who he is. Dimitri Harrison is awesome and a great partner, and spun up this new MVP really fast. And now I'm actively raising in my pre-seed to move on to the next phase.
So Allison, share with folks why you decided to bring a CTO on as a position, as somebody to join you versus outsourcing.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways you can go there. I did outsource kind of the version that I had before, the one that I've had now, just, like a WordPress site. Again, take your baby steps and get where you can, always getting feedback, always making sure founders were coming to me and founders were using it and founders were having success afterward. Yeah. And I'll just throw in here that I have worked with over 80 founders now with no money spent on marketing, no money spent on sales. 56% of them are people of color, 78% are women, which tells me I'm reaching the right people. I'm making something that is of value to the people I want it to be valuable for. And they're raising their money. They're getting into accelerators. They're doing the things that I want my help to provide for them. So those are the signals you look for that you do have a value proposition.
Okay, everyone, I'm having an Andelicious moment right there. And here's why. Bootstrapping is so valuable to you. I know there's so much emphasis put on raising money, including this conversation here. But what Allison has done is she has built value into her business up front, through bootstrapping, through getting her ideal customers on board and getting testimonials from them, getting results from them, okay? This is incredible. And now when she goes to get money from investors, she can put a good price tag on that, a good valuation, as we say, because there's no do people really want this? Oh yeah, they want it, and it's clear, and it's who she said she wanted to go after and serve. Oh. Andelicious moment. Congratulations, Allison. Really.
Thank you, Andy. But I didn't answer your CTO question yet, because I know that is one of the number one challenges for non-technical founders.
Oh, it is.
How do you find that technical co-founder? Do you need a technical co-founder? When do you need it? It's a messy area, and there's not a good solution there right now. And I was really fortunate that Dimitri actually came to me as a founder in my program toward the start when I was launching this, and he became so passionate about the mission, behind Scroobious and what we're building and the big tech vision that we have. This is a venture scale tech platform, not a coaching service, and he wants to be the one to help me build it. And so for me, it was also that personal connection in bringing him on.
Sure.
Versus making the decisions some founders make of, do I go find that person?
Right.
How do I do this and when?
Let's face it, it is so nice to share the everyday burden. I'll use that word, burden, journey, deliciousness. But a lot of times there's a lot of drudge work. It is great to have a partner in crime, right?
Yeah, it really, even if they're not internal to your company, having that support network, having others you can turn to, it's often a void for underrepresented founders because there are fewer of us. And so that's one thing that we're doing at the company too, is really connecting our founders in a community, giving them that peer base. It's just so important to have that.
It really is. And one of the purposes of having the show is not just representation, women like Allison and our other founders that you see here on the Startup Life live show, seeing them in action, making it happen. It's also to help you founders who are tuning in feel less isolated, to understand everybody's struggles. I don't care if you've been at this for decades and had several exits. You still, when you launch a new business, it's like birthing a new baby. They all come out different, right, Allison? And with no instructions.
Fair enough.
Let me just say hi to a few people, and we're going to talk more about the fact that it is a tech platform. That's so fascinating. Hold on. Let's talk to our Zaze. Everybody, come on. This is a phenomenal olive oil, but not only is it exquisite, and if you're really into having great olive oil, you want to buy some Zaze, but it also supports female farmers, because that's where the founder, Laura, gets her product from. And she makes sure that these women are paid equally, these female farmers. So it's a wonderful product. And right here, okay, this is a local goddess with her business, Significard. Okay, can you see this great little card she sent me? This is artist done. I mean, I could never write like that in a million years. But you can order meaningful cards for people. And I got to tell you, getting a note in the card, a card in the mail, it still is wonderful. I know everybody's gone and become more like, hey, I'll just shoot you an email or a text. Taking that time out is so beautiful. And Significard, thank you for launching this beautiful business. And everybody can go see their current MVP at significard.com, because they're supporting artists. Allison, how cool is that?
It's awesome. And I think that's so important today. Is it's easy to forget the humanity that surrounds us, and everyone is still human. Everyone still has our natural reactions to things, and something like that, a handmade and a handwritten card, it touches anybody that gets it.
Oh my gosh. And both folks, both Zaze and Significard, of course, are local, but we love to share those of you from around the country and around the world. So always feel welcome to share your business and what you're doing here. Yes, Rebecca, it's so important not to be isolated, especially right now. And I'm sure you talk about this, Rebecca, which is reaching out, asking for help, asking for connection. That is a really great self-care tactic that really can help your state of mind. So thank you for that. All right. So, and I'm thinking, pitching and video and all of that. Let's talk about the framework, and you tell me when it's time to put up your big graphic. Okay. And I can do that. But how is this becoming a tech platform? And of course, I'm so curious how you get people comfortable doing video, because even speakers who are used to talking to a big, wonderful audience, when it comes to looking at this here camera, it becomes hard, and all of a sudden you can go and freeze. And then of course, there's the added pressure that you need money for your business and you want to get, your right vibe. Oh my gosh. All right. Back to you, Allison. I've got too many questions.
Yeah, no, and they're all good questions, and video certainly is intimidating. So I'm going to take it kind of one piece at a time, because I've got two sides to the platform. One is founder facing and one is investor facing. But on the founder piece, it's really the program that I've put together where it's mostly online learning modules that people can view on their own time. So it's asynchronous. You can work through it as you want. And again, I make things very approachable, very relatable, and really hold hands and guide through how you put together your pitch and how you tell that. What is your story and how can you authentically represent who you are? So we don't make produced videos. There's no editing. It's really recreating. If you got an investor on Zoom or in person someday again, and they said, okay, give me your 5-minute pitch. Here's what it is. And you have to be able to do that in normal fundraising activity. So you're really taping something that you need to do anyway. And you need to show your authentic self. And so it's a more approachable than thinking of making a more highly produced type of video, because you really do want to tell your story.
I got to tell you, you see how I roll here. There's, not much production value in the sense that there's no polish. It's real. I get to share myself. Allison is sharing herself. And what happens is it allows you to bring more of your full self forward. And in video, it just becomes so much more relatable. I love that.
Yeah.
So you've got the founder facing, and then you've got the investor facing. How does that work?
Yeah, so on the investor side, what we're building out is a portal where they can log in and see the founder videos that are created. Because one of the other big issues in fundraising is this matchmaking element, right? And
Right.
it's not about someone else making a match for you necessarily. Part of the original ideation of this was I kept thinking of other industries where this has been successfully implemented for a while, right? You think of online dating, that's a one-to-one matchmaking effort. And it used to be, it had to be someone you knew. It had to be someone in your network somehow. That's how you met people. And
That's
as
right.
soon as it was introduced online, using things that humanized, like video and photos and predictive algorithms to help with the matchmaking without having a matchmaker, it proved how inefficient the other way of meeting somebody was. And it's now the number one way that people meet their significant others. And it makes sense.
It does. Right? Going to a bar is just way too random.
Well, it's the same with early stage founders and early stage investors. It's often having that one-to-one connection. And there are literally millions of angel investors in the US alone. And the same with startup founders, and they're growing significantly. It's a very different fundraising process than when you get into later stages or growth stages.
That's right.
So much lies on you as the founder and having that connection. And there is no way that you know already somewhere the best opportunity for you to put your capital in or the best investor.
Yeah.
And creating these platforms is going to be really crucial in expanding the way that people can fund and the companies that they want.
Yeah, I have several things to say. First of all, for you founders, let me tell you something. When you do video, you get really good with your story because you do it and you watch, you do your pitch, you watch it again, you refine it, it gets so embedded that you could be at the grocery store picking out some vegetables and someone could say, tell me about your business. And it'll come, oops, flowing right out of your mouth. So that I just think is like, so don't let video intimidate you. It is so powerful in helping you get it pulled, in your brain even deeper, but also in the sound bites that you need it to be, as well as on the other side, on the investor platform, the SEC is all about democratizing private markets. Right now, you've got a backup when you're submitting your decks to investors. They're like overwhelmed and they're just picking 1, 2, 3. There's just a whole stoppage right there. Whereas by providing your site, they can come on and maybe start dissolving that pattern matching challenge, right? Because they get to see what the founder is about and get caught up in their passion and their capability and why they're uniquely qualified because it's video, and they're doing it from the comfort of wherever, so it's not like, oh my God, this person sent me an email, I've got to look at their deck, or my friend Bob or Sally sent it over and I got to go look at it. They've decided to land on your website and slide right, slide left.
Well, and it makes it more enjoyable. It should be enjoyable, and it makes it more efficient. And there's some other reasons why video is so powerful in the way that humans take in that type of information that gives the founder a better chance of even just building up the social capital that's required to get to the check at the end of the day. Right. And so things like what I'm doing right now, I'm staring right in my camera and it feels like I'm making eye contact with you. You feel that even over a screen. Versus in meetings, if I want to see your face, right, I have to look down and then we're never making eye contact. And when someone feels your eye contact, it puts you in a more powerful position. It displays confidence in what you're saying, and it actually makes an imprint and you recall it later. So there's more chance for the founder to be remembered later on and passed on to others who might be interested or want to know or might feel a connection with that person.
And Allison's not just saying that because we all know that Allison is a data gatherer and human behavior analyst. So she's not just saying that because she read it somewhere, right?
No, I have research. Anyone who knows me knows I do my research. But it really is, it's combining that data. It's combining that research with how humans behave. because that's right. That's how we're going to change things. That's how we're going to change behaviors. And understanding that is really key in how you design these types of platforms.
And how brilliant that you're working with and I'll bring your comment up in a second, Marie, the new majority, because I love it. I know you didn't coin that, but you use it all the time. And I love that. The under-networked, okay, the folks who are waking up every day and they just can't call somebody because that person's so well connected. They know no one. But they've got a great idea that they've launched and pulled together, and it needs some oxygen. It needs some money to grow. So let's just say hi, Oliver. So good to see you, folks. Oliver was on the show in the fall. He is the founder of a Cell Hub, which helps Latin American founders who are ready to scale enter the U.S. and hit it out of the park here. And he's a phenomenal founder himself and an investor. So great idea. Signing up now. Yay! We love that. Thank you, Oliver. And Marie, how much do we love Marie? Okay, can we just have a moment?
We love Marie.
Executive Director of the Capital Network, everyone. Phenomenal organization here in Boston, but serves, so many other startup communities. And they have a phenomenal female founder fellowship program that you love. And look at this lovely. We're excited to partner with Scroobious for our demo day for our female founder fellows. This helps take the scary parts of live pitching out of a demo day and get straight to the human connection. How cool is that? And if you guys want to learn more about Marie and her work at the Capital Network and how she is making sure that pattern matching is getting dissolved completely, go watch her episode in December here on the Startup Life Live show. She's amazing. Good. I'm so glad you're feeling the love because we do. It's big, really big, and for the work you're doing in the world. Okay, so now you've figured out, we won't call it speed dating for founders and investors, but it is a site where you're helping because you're teaching. You're not just, and I apologize for doing that equation, that comparison to the speed dating. It really is, you are training the founders and helping them get really good at their craft, which is pulling together what they need to say and how they need to be when they're presenting their pitch deck, while giving the investors an opportunity to find a really good fit for their investment agenda. So what happens next? How do you onboard folks?
So on the founder side, people can sign up. I've got people signing up all the time. And again, I tried really hard to help founders and empower them to get most of the way there on their own. So this content that's available and templates to download too are really focus on the how can I help you do the things you need to do? So it's not nebulous, it's not ethereal, right? I have like a bottom-up market size calculator workbook to help, like Marie said, make it less scary. Market sizing is so scary for people. You can do it. There's a framework. It's not that scary. And I really try and coach through as much as I can without needing, a live interaction so that people can do it as it fits into their time. And then we pair it with these personal touch points of feedback on your deck, of feedback on your presentation, and that community of other founders to bounce what you're doing off of and get support so that you get 90% of the way there on your own, just going through it. And it's, it's again, just available at any time.
Is it time to bring up the graph?
Sure, we can
Let's do it. Okay. Yeah, let's check this out because this is part of the process. This is what you refer to as your Scroobious PIP, right?
So the PIP is the program. We call it the Pitch It plan, or the PIP, so that we can be the Scroobious PIP that founders go through. But a lot of so back, a little over. Well, about a year ago, I kind of threw this together. This was my, vetted framework that I had done all my research on and decided, okay, these are the 10 sections that need to be in a deck. Might not necessarily be in this order, but it tends to be a narrative flow that really works. And it got picked up by Business Insider, which was amazing. So it got published there, and that really, got the ball rolling more. But yeah, this is what I teach workshops and master classes on this framework all the time. And I really focus on clearly communicating
Right.
your narrative, right? When you pitch, you get to say what you want someone to pay attention to. Like, you control the narrative. So make it how you want it.
Right. And the beauty of this flow, because I have a lot of experience in deck prep, is the fact that, and people take this in, okay, you're starting off with your origin story, which gets everybody into the same page as to what you're doing. That's let me just bring that up real quickly here. That's this right here. My company is developing to help, solve a problem for a defined audience, et cetera. That's so important. And then you're moving right into that problem and then into that solution. And then how are you going to make money doing this? And who are you doing it for? That's so important. And then who are the competitors out there? And why now? Love the why now. That is so powerful. And so let me just go through it one more and then go to market. How are you going to get there? What's your plan? What's your CAC, everybody? That's right. Customer acquisition strategy. And the team who's going to help make this happen. Who are they? And I like to see that up sooner, when you're in that sort of real pre-seed stage, because that's, gets more buy-in. But I love this something fierce, Allison. So people on board onto your platform, how much are founders paying to go through this process and to get help from you?
Yeah, so for founders, I just do a flat fee. That was, again, part of my research was what's easy on a founder's cash flow, what makes it clearly valuable, right? I'm not in the business of taking, money that founders need. I am a founder. That's my perspective. So it costs only $400 for all of it, for all the programming, for the personalized feedback, for the community, and for the listing on our investor portal. It's just that one-time fee. If that's still a challenge, we also have a grant application where we have sponsors that provide grants for founders to go through the program. But if I was consulting, if you hired a pitch coach, it's about $3,000 worth of value.
Oh yeah.
What I'm a scalable product.
But the beauty is that what you're offering is scalable. Someone like me, charges a fee to review a pitch deck or teach a pitch deck workshop. That's not scalable. What you've done is you've created something that folks from around the world can dive into. And even if you aren't raising money, folks, in my personal opinion, $400 to invest in your ability to know your business better, to ask yourself questions. Well, what is this market size I'm going after? And what is my market strategy, my go-to-market strategy? And do I have the right team? That's why I'm always saying pitch whenever possible, even if you're not raising money, because you're going to get great questions asked, find some ways to fill some holes, and, get some advice that you wouldn't get from other folks. So they get on board. How is there is it move at your own pace, or do you help pull people through? How does that work?
Yeah, it's really move at your own pace, right? For founders, even if you're actively fundraising, something could happen and immediately you have to pivot, or you have, something in life gets in the way, and having another thing that's rushing you or feeling like you need to submit something in time for a program. It's just, I know it's not how I could operate as a founder. And so, some people I've worked with have gone through this in like 3 days, right? They were just, I know what I'm going to do it. And some people I've been working with for 5 months, and that's okay. And that's also part of why I chose this flat fee for founders is there is no pressure, right? You're signed up. Take your time. I check in with them as much as I can, but you have to go at your own speed and what's right for you and what's the best use of your time.
Especially if you're new to the process and you're doing the more important work, which is getting customers on board. Raising money is a full-time job, and you still have to do all these other things. So I love that. And folks, I'm going to put up in the banner, I'm going to put it into the comment section for those who are watching. There is a link right here, scroobious.com/exclusive-startup-life-live. I got to tell you, you've got, how much is it, Allison? What's the discount?
It's a $50 discount on the program for anyone who's watching this live or later on.
Yay! Thank you so much. I will have the link in the show notes, everybody. Take advantage of that because what a huge investment in you and your business on a platform that really understands what you're going through. And so when they get, what happens on the investor side then, Allison? So everybody's worked together. They've put their wonderful pitch deck together. Then what happens?
Yeah, so on the investor side, we're still a startup too, right? We're 1 year old. So
Right.
we're working on building that side out. And again, the value for founders independent from that investor portal. And again, right, I'm not charging for access to investors. I don't believe in that. So that just comes with it as that's being built. So I have, a simple site. Investors can log in, see the videos, email the founders, get to know them. And I send them out if I have an appropriate investor in my network who I think might be interested. But more than that, for the founders, when they're doing a warm email or a cold email, instead of sending your PDF, you send this link and you say, hey, please, if you've got 5 minutes, I do 5-minute pitch videos. The whole point of it is to get a meeting. It's the whole point of your first pitch. Watch this pitch, and then if you're interested, let's schedule a chat. And then it really makes it a more natural human interaction because your first live conversation is a conversation. You don't have to go through your stiff formal pitch. They've watched it. They've watched you do that. So
that's right. And they have
really
questions now, and they're ready to dive deeper, and nobody knows your business as well as you do. But congratulations on having just launched a year ago. Can everybody just give a thumbs up, fist bump, a woohoo in the comment section for Allison? 1 year, Allison?
1 year, 2 months before COVID came along, and all of a sudden I had 2 kids at home and I was a teacher. So it was a fun time to start a company.
Well, you got through it, you solved the problems, and you still made things happen and pulling things forward. I just want to say that we have a successful outcome right here. Lit Languages. Lit went through the Scroobious beta program. Amazing experience. Thank you for sharing that. How do we find you? Throw in your URL and we'll jump on and have everybody contact you.
Well, so Ande, Lit, that's Maddie, who was on the same Founders Live that you hosted with
That's
me.
right.
And
That's right.
Fantastic. This is like a double win, like an awesome story all around, where we pitched together and then Maddie reached out and we worked together at Scroobious. He made a video, which is awesome. And he's scored funding. He's got meeting. He scored investment. He is doing amazing with Lit.
Congratulations, Maddie. That is wonderful. And you saw how dynamic Maddie is, right? So to be able to share that, you can't share that stuff with a word, at a PowerPoint, the video deck. And I love that you keep the videos to 5 minutes. Why did you choose the 5-minute time?
So 5 minutes is about the attention span that people have to watch somebody talking. When you get much beyond 5 minutes, it's hard to sustain the attention.
Sure.
And the format of the videos that we make too, it's a split screen of your slides next to you presenting them. So that's why we work through that deck first. You get the context of your deck next to you, the person and the passion and the narrative, and filling in all the things that you wish you could when you just send a PDF out into.
Wonderful. and let me just see, you put that in. Okay. So my other question then is, do you get people to work on their background, their audio, their lighting, which is so important for video?
Yeah, no, so we walk through all of those guidelines for the video, having that blank background behind you. So there's no extra variables that are pulling attention away. You have your light, you have your sound.
Right.
How far away from your camera should you be?
Center yourself in the screen. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Some founders, I'm sure, were frustrated when they did their video and I said, ooh, you
nice.
have a busy background. Let's do another take.
Yeah. I mean, this is because I'm a host, but people can still go and go, what's on that bookshelf over there? What's this? Yeah, you don't want them to be distracted. But also you want to make sure that they can be seen and they're not looking down into the camera, as you always often see, everything's looking up, or if they're like this, just that direct content. $400, and now you got a $50 off for the Startup Life Live audience. That's incredible. And I'm just going to go back to this comment made by our dear Marie. Yes. Why this? Why you? Why now? Okay. Take that in, everybody. It's how we frame it, and a great way to think about your story in a sentence Twitter pitch. 240 characters. Love it.
Yeah, the why now is important. A lot of people leave that off, and it can be a macro why now. What are the economic circumstances or the societal circumstances that make this the right time? Or it can be traction. Are you at an inflection point? Why is right now the right time for your company? Whether that's macro or micro, having that as part of why you're fundraising is so important.
It is, because it's that double combination, everyone. It's the combination of your North Star, which is going to get you through the tough days and have you keep going when it feels impossible, which is important to investors, that you get to the other side and solve those problems. But also the why now too is opportunity, the possibility, and it's the right time for your company based on who you are and your unique ingredients. Love that. Love that. Thanks for that, Renee. Yes, definitely doable. She's ready. Woo! That's great. And whoever, SRB 1178, thank you with the woohoo from YouTube. And another woohoo from Renee. Engaging, interacting. This is wonderful. So now so you're working on the investor side of the platform. Where are you at on the development of making things more seamless? Like, where are you at with your business and this stage?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a whole lot behind that question, but I run my companies. I'm very customer focused and customer centric. So if I'm making things more efficient right now, it's on the customer side. So that's, Dimitri and I working together to make sure that our process keeps improving, that we remove confusion points, whatever makes it the easiest experience for the founders, which, like you said, your North Star, right? My North Star is helping founders, somehow addressing in the way that I can the egregious funding gap that exists today. And that's what the driver is. So all the things that we're doing in terms of automation or what we can as a 2-person, company right now is geared toward experience.
Yeah. And the word I keep hearing, and I'm sure y'all are hearing it too, efficiency. Love that. But that's a user experience that you're creating, the UI, that's so important, making it efficient, helping them get to a place of confidence in which they can build and continue on. Oh my gosh. Anybody have any questions for Allison? You be sure to pop them right into the comment section. I did have a little bit of a banner throwing up, of course, for any questions for Allison to remind you as well as we move on to, okay, so you launched a year ago, and there was that pre-work that you did as you found the name and you did your surveys, and and then of course now you're working full time, and you're teaching full time because of COVID, but you still made all of these connections happen. What have you learned along the way? What's a mindset hack that you could share with everybody to help along this part of the journey, which is so important, and we all need advice on what to do when we wake up in the middle of the night and we're like, oh my God, why am I doing this? Why I should be getting on salary somewhere. And I call it we're cheering on the founder journey. Nobody gets to not have this experience, folks. Okay. No, it's a double negative. Everyone has to go through founder doubt, founder inadequacy, founder #why bother days, all of those. How have you gotten through your founder journey? Is there a mindset hack you could share with everyone?
Yeah, and so you're absolutely right. And the founder journey doesn't end, right? There's even founders who you would look at and say, ooh, they did it, they made it. They're still on their founder journey. You always have some grain of doubt or questioning, or should I just go get a real job, right? Those kind of questions that go through your head. I think for me, I'm very outspoken and very passionate about women entrepreneurs, and in particular mom entrepreneurs. And it's very internally motivating for me to fulfill what I see as an innovation in the industry and something that can help people, and to show myself, to show my very supportive husband, to show my kids and my friends and peers that I can do this. Women can do this and moms can do this. And at a time right now where we're seeing 3 million women having dropped out of the workforce during this pandemic, what a gut punch. It makes it even more important to stick with what you're doing. And that's, again, when we talk about why now and macro elements, you also have to, in your own life, have the macro and the micro. And that's a macro for me, where I need to stick with this and I want to execute because I believe in what I'm doing. And it's not fair to myself if I give up on that.
I love that. Okay, everybody, get ready. You need to stick with this. I'm saying, stitch that on a pillow. Stick with this. Okay. It may be messy. You talked about that earlier, maybe messy. You may feel like, oh my gosh, it's not coming together. Where are my people? Where are my resources and all of that? It doesn't have to unfold in some fairy tale way. It can happen over a period of time. Many overnight successes took 10 years.
That's exactly right. And honestly, when you're fundraising, that's the space I play in. Investors need to know that you have that too.
Right.
That they need to know you have a mindset where whether you get their dollars or not, you're going to do this thing, and you're committed, and you're going to stick through it when it gets hard, because it will always get harder than you think it will. And the investors know that. So having that conviction, both for yourself and for your business is key.
Absolutely. And stick with it on the pillow. And I know you're only a year or so into this, and you live vicariously through other founders' journeys, but when it's all on your shoulders, this is your idea, you named it, you birthed it. How has this entrepreneurial journey served you both professionally and personally? What are you seeing already?
Yeah, so I mean, we've touched on it a little bit, but one, I love getting to work with these founders all the time, right? And having them tell me, I hear almost daily from one of my founders some success story, or like we heard from Maddie here on the show, that I'm helping them in some way, in the way that I can. They are seeing value in what I've built. And we're so early, it's such early days, right? We have such big plans and more that we want to do. And again, when you're a founder and you're in, MVP or even prototype phase, and you're thinking, oh, this, this isn't what I want to have out there in the world, people find value in it still and don't discount it. And that, is really motivating. And really just makes you feel like you're making a difference in people's lives at the end of the day. And that's, that's been so great to see, especially during what is a very tough year. And then for me also, the demographics of who's coming to me and the founders that I see also sticking with it when, times look dire. And they're all diverse, or they all identify as under-networked or underrepresented in some way.
Congratulations.
It's great to see all those founders that are out there and working so hard.
It's true, because they have a calling. They are compelled to do this, and you're giving them a tool so they can have a greater chance of success, because it's not the guarantee, folks. It's the possibility of your business. And I'm sorry, I can't write a check that says guaranteed, but you're going to do your best, and you're always going to come out the other side. You never lose when you're a founder. And I want to bring this up from Rebecca. Yes, there's never been a better time for female and underrepresented entrepreneurs to stay the course and collectively make an impact. And is that how we find you? In a nutshell, CEO? Come on, everybody go follow Rebecca. The minute we get done here, I'm going to go follow Rebecca. How may we support what you're doing? You've given us, you gave us the $50 discount. So we're all feeling like you have definitely added value. You've shown us how video can create and humanize the process. How may we serve you and Scroobious?
Yeah, so visit my website, follow me on Twitter, sign up for my newsletter. I do a monthly newsletter from me. There's no spam, and you can keep up with our progress. If you're a founder and you think I can help you, reach out, sign up, apply for a grant if that's, the fee is a challenge for you. If you're an investor, get to know me, right? It's building that social capital that's so important.
Oh my
And then just your network and continuing to promote each other. Like you, Andy, I talk about you all the time. I talk about Rebecca. I talk about Maddie. Like, we all have to support each other.
We have to just keep floating that, adding wind to the sails and opening doors for people. Thank you for that. And really, thank you for serving founders in a really necessary way right now, while democratizing the private market, while making it easier for investors to find aligned founders. Okay. Because, at the end of the day, you're getting married, folks. When money comes in, it's a bonding experience. So I love that. Thank you so much for that. And everybody look at the ticker tape below. This is how you can always reach Allison, learn more, visit the website, but be sure to go follow her at AP Byers right there. That's her handle, both on Instagram and on Twitter. And she really rocks the Twitter world, I'm just saying, and LinkedIn. I'll have all the links in the show notes, folks. So so good to have a local goddess on the show with me today. Thank you so much, Allison, for sharing your wisdom and your Scroobious business platform that's really changing lives for those who are underserved and under-networked, the new majority, as Marie likes to do and say, and she's so right. I'll see you in the green room. I'm going to just do some closing comments with everybody. Did we not love Allison and her platform and her advice and her wisdom? I know you all learned so much from hearing her story and her passion for where she is in the world and how she's serving the world. I'm so grateful you tuned in to up your founder game. We always learn something here on the Startup Life Live show to help keep growing our businesses. And let me tell you about who's coming on next week. No show this Tuesday, the 2nd, but on the 5th, we have a phenomenal founder, female founder, the one and only Marcia Guerrier. And she has an incredible business. It's called Her Sweet Spot. And it's a private network for women of color, providing leadership and entrepreneurship development. And Marcia's uniquely qualified for this. She is a TEDx speaker, a 3 times best-selling author, a trainer, business analyst, and coach. And she's going to be sharing her sweet spot and her startup stories with us on Friday, February 5th at 1 p.m. EST. And check out the lineup over the next few weeks. There's Marcia. Then we got Jessica. She's local here in Boston. Systemic Flow. And Olgi with his incredible heel-less sneakers. Okay, so we've got Jessica talking about building the next generation of female BIPOC STEM leaders, and Olgi with an actual product that has a heelless technology. So many exciting things going on here. And how do you stay on top of it all? You join the meetup group, Startup Life Live. You can scan the code, visit the URL, and you'll be alerted whenever I post a new show, which is usually twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, 1 p.m. EST, right here, live. And founders, I know how hard you're working to make things happen. And I know there are some moments that you're toasting with that champagne and then other moments where you're crying into it. So here's what I want to say for you and with you. Promise me that you'll remember that you're braver than you believe. Oh, yeah. And stronger than you seem. You're lifting those weights and you're smarter than you think. You absolutely have got this 100%. I believe in you, and I'll see you next time. Mwah! Wishing you all a delicious rest of your day.